I was a whole lot more than just a piece of work, but this chick, who was just one of oh so many, didn't need to know that. I silently cursed my roommate, Nash, who was the real shit here. We had been best friends since elementary school, and I could normally rely on him to run interference for me on Sunday mornings when I had to bail, but I'd forgotten about the piece he was supposed to be finishing up today. That meant I was on my own when it came to hustling last night's tail out the door and getting a move on before the brat left without me, which was a bigger headache than I needed in my current state. Hey, what's your name anyway? If she wasn't pissed before, she was downright infuriated now. She climbed back into a super short black skirt and a barely there tank top. She fluffed up her mound of dyed blonde hair and glared at me out of eyes now smudged with old mascara.
Lucy, you don't remember?
I slimed some crap in my hair to make it stand up in a bunch of different directions and sprayed on cologne to help mask the scent of sex and booze that I was sure still clung to my skin. I shrugged a shoulder at her and waited as she hopped by me on one foot, putting on heels that just screamed dirty sex. I'm Rule. I would have offered to shake her hand, but that seemed silly. So I just pointed to the front door of the apartment and stepped in the bathroom to brush the stale taste of whiskey out of my mouth. There's coffee in the kitchen. Maybe you should write your number down and I can give you a call another time. Sundays aren't good days for me. She would never know how true that statement was. She glared at me and tapped the toe of one of those awesome shoes.
You really have no idea who I am, do you?
This time, even against my throbbing brain's wishes, my eyebrow went up and I looked at her with a mouthful of toothpaste foam. I just stared at her until she screeched at me and pointed at her side.
You have to at least remember this!
No wonder I liked her ink so much. It was one of mine. I spit the toothpaste in the sink and gave myself a once-over in the mirror. I looked like hell. My eyes were watery and rimmed in red, my skin looked gray, and there was a hickey the size of Rhode Island on the side of my neck. Mom was gonna love that. Just like she was going to fall all over herself about the current state of my hair. It was normally thick and dark, but I'd shaved the sides and dyed the front a nice bright purple, so now it stuck up straight like a weed whacker had been used to cut it. Both my folks already had an issue with the scrolling ink that wound around both my arms and up the side of my neck, so the hair was just gonna be icing on the cake. Since there was nothing I could do to fix the current shit show looking back at me in the mirror, I prowled out of the bathroom and unceremoniously grabbed the girl by the elbow and towed her to the front door. I needed to remember to go home with them instead of letting them come home with me. It was so much easier that way. Look, I have somewhere I have to be, and I don't particularly love that I have to go, but you freaking out and making a scene is not going to do anything other than piss me off. I hope you had a good time last night, and you can leave your number, but we both know the chances of me calling you are slim to none. If you don't want to be treated like crap, maybe you should stop going home with drunken dudes you don't know. Trust me, we're really after only one thing, and the next morning, all we really want is for you to go quietly away. I have a headache, and I feel like I'm gonna hurl. Plus, I have to spend the next hour in a car with someone who will be silently loathing me and joyously plotting my death. So really, can we just save the histrionics and get a move on it? By now, I had maneuvered Lucy to the entryway of the building, and I saw my blonde tormentor in the BMW idling in the spot next to my truck. She was impatient, and would take off if I wasted any more time. I gave Lucy half a grin and shrugged a shoulder. After all, it wasn't her fault I was an asshole, and even I knew she deserved better than such a callous brush-off. Look. Don't feel bad. I can be a charming bastard when I put my mind to it. You are far from the first, and won't be the last to see this little show. I'm glad your tat turned out badass, and I'd prefer you remember me for that rather than last night. I jogged down the front steps without looking back, and yanked open the door to the fancy black BMW. I hated this car, and hated that it suited the driver as well as it did. Classy, sleek, and expensive were definitely words that could be used to describe my traveling companion. As we pulled out of the parking lot, Lucy yelled at me and flipped me off. My driver rolled her eyes and muttered, "Classy," under her breath. She was used to the little scenes chicks like to throw.